remember I got his ear in my mouth and the geezer kicked me and his ear come off. She stabbed me once, she pulled it out, and she stabbed it again, and she looked at me like, I could smell rotten flesh. It was bad. I was doing loads. He was fucked by now. He's got a ruptured spleen and everything. But that weren't the funny bit.
I want to say a quick thank you to our sponsors, Gold Seal. I use their products every single day, and now I finally get to work with them. I use their products for anti-inflammatory, reduced anxiety, better sleep, and mental clarity. I'm going to put a link to their website in the description, along with a 10% discount code for you to take advantage of. Go and have a look at their website, see if there's anything in there for you. I hope you enjoy this week's episode, and good health. Colin.
Hello, mate.
I appreciate you coming on. I saw you on another interview, and I thought I'm going to reach out to that man because there's more depth and substance to him. And we met around 2000. It was between 2009, 2012. It was when Mean Machine Productions was on at Caesars.
Yeah.
And you was a regular big hitter on the card, and I was working the door there. So I would bring a separate team to support the regular doorman there. Colin was the head doorman, so I worked alongside Drake. And there was one day where you was fighting. I mean, you was always fighting. And we got introduced by someone. You was completely in the zone, and you was pumped and ready to go. And I thought, this is a human hand grenade. And so I was interested in you back then. And then I followed your journey on social media, bare knuckle boxing in the hay on the traveller sites.
I went from the hay to the ring to the cage.
Hay, ring, cage.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the order. So we'll take it back to the beginning because I want to hear, and people watching this will want to hear your life story and get a better understanding of why you tick the way you tick because what you've been through. So what was your childhood like? Where did you grow up?
Started off in Bermondsey. I was living with my mum and my stepdad and my dad. And then my dad moved to Lincolnshire. So I moved over to there. He was fighting for custody. And so he managed to get custody. Him and my granddad moved over to Lincolnshire, Stamford. And my mum followed as well. So we went from London to Lincolnshire. And as you can imagine, that was a pretty big contrast.
Culture shock.
Yeah.
How old were you then?
I couldn't tell you, mate. I can't remember London. I can remember playing in the playground a couple of times because my stepdad, he lived on Walworth Road. He lived in a high-rise block of flats. And I remember having a bit of aggravation with some kids that I used to get picked on. And two white boys come walked across, started talking to me, so I went up towards the gate and they both got their cocks out and pissed on me. Yeah. I was a fucking nipper when that happened.
Yeah. And that sticks.
Yeah.
It does stay with you. And it's amazing.
And I was laughing when they done it.
So you was on the receiving end of violence before you started feeling comfortable in that environment.
Yeah.
Because you are a violent man.
I didn't realise I could fight until I was 20, until I hit the streets of Dartford. That's when I realised I could have a good tear-up. And then that was probably a bad thing because it got to the point people didn't like coming out with me.
So it weren't until your 20s that you knew that you could fight.
Yeah.
So let's go back then before you found out you could fight, which anyone watching this that puts your name in Google will see that you clearly can. Just describe them briefly, just to get an understanding of what's moulded you, because we are a collaboration of the people that we spend the most time with. Describe your mum, dad and stepdad to me, just as characters. Okay. What kind of an influence did they have?
All of them very strong. Charlie, my stepdad, he was into high criminality. And my dad, he was moving bits and bobs about with Charlie, but he was a fucking businessman.
Right.
He built a whole street in Stamford called Water Street. Yeah, he was really good with what he done.
Who did you spend most time with, your dad or your stepdad?
My dad.
Okay.
But my stepdad, he was fucking scary, mate. He was. But he weren't bad scary to me.
What was his game?
Robbing people. And towards the end, it was smoking crack. That got the better of him.
What was he, robbing drug dealers?
No, he used to be like a jewellery thief. He told me one story once. He was in someone's bedroom having a root around. Like the Jewish woman jumped out of bed and jumped on his back, and he's trying to get her off, and the old man weren't doing nothing. He was shitting himself, but he had to grab the bird off and bang. But yeah, that's how he used to roll around. And when he used to come across decent bits, my dad used to love antiques. So like, my dad used to fucking buy them off him. Where we lived in Stamford in Lincolnshire, my dad's houses were all big. One house he bought, it was called Tixover Grange, and it was a little village with a massive manor house that was divided into flats. My dad bought a whole lot. It was on 52 acres, and he built a nursing home that was about a quarter mile away from that. So my dad was like, he built things. He was good with business, and like my stepdad, he was good at what he done.
And they got on well?
They weren't best of friends.
Ah.
Charlie was with my mum. My mum left Charlie to be with my dad. So they always going to be, or I don't know what happened exactly. Fucking, my mum was like a high-octane alcoholic. But I'm not going to drag them down on their mistakes, because my mum was in this fellowship for 33 years. Absolutely no drink, God squad, all of that.
Kudos to her.
But with my mum and Charlie, there was a couple of nasty kick-offs that I see when I was a little baby. I don't even want to talk about them, but it weren't nice.
No.
It weren't nice at all.
Was it a one-off, or was there a few of them?
My mum used to aggravate him, I think she did. But Charlie, it didn't take a lot to aggravate him, like I say. If he didn't like you and you were sitting in a room with him, he'd tell you, I can't breathe the same air as you. You know what I mean? I've got to go somewhere else.
Would he switch on people?
Yeah.
Is he still alive?
No. He died placing a bet in Ladbrokes on the Walworth Road. Bosh, and he fell backwards. And he was just dead. Sorry for laughing about that. But
heart attack.
He went out. I think it was written on his funeral thing. He died as he lived. But yeah, the funeral procession left from there, Ladbrokes on the Walworth Road. And yeah, it's very sad. But
would you say you was a mummy's boy or a daddy's boy?
they both had their strong points and they both had their flaws. But I loved them both the same.
And did you feel loved?
Yeah, all the way through. Yeah, there was no problem there.
Was you angry at any stages?
I've always been a bit angry.
Yeah. Well, that's what I picked up on when I first met you.
Yeah, I've always been a bit angry.
The human
I've
grenade.
always been a bit, when I was at school, and I was always a little bit small and I was always picked on. You know what I mean? I was always fighting with bigger kids and the fights never went well. Then when I got a little bit bigger and moved to Dartford, and I think I had to tear up, and then I thought, yeah, I'm good at this.
And how old were you when you moved to Dartford?
20.
And why did you move to Dartford?
My dad met a woman, and I don't know, her name's Penny, I'll say her name, and she didn't like me, so things didn't work out. So I ended up from 16, fast forward a year, they was together, blah 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 blah. I've moved up to Dartford to live with my mum, and I didn't talk to my dad for 15 years. And one day he rang me up out of the blue. He lived in Gibraltar now with her, and he said, we were talking for about 15 minutes, then he went, Penny's died. I went, drop that in there, Dad. I went, what do you mean? He said, I've never asked you for anything. He says, I know about your boxing and this, that. I do I'm following what you're doing and that. He says, can you come to Tolipandi in Wales? Because there's some unanswered questions and I can't get nowhere. And I was like, what's happened? And he said she was murdered. Like, she was going up. The thing with Penny is, she was like an ex-RAF, fucking right up there. And like, she still talked to people like that. Like, she was in the RAF and had to do what she wanted them to do. She was always prim and proper. She'd never walk around the house without a dressing gown on, very, very prim and proper. And she was found at the bottom of the stairs totally naked with her head caved in. And they found a pillowcase upstairs with the blood on it. So obviously it was foul play. And there was one or two people that my dad thought was to blame, which was a son or a daughter. So, because my dad and Penny was in Gibraltar, they was always getting tapped for money by these two kids that were in Wales, which was her kids. And then one day my dad said, no, that's enough, we're not sending you no more money. So Penny's gone back to Wales to sort everything out. Now, my dad wanted me to go. He said, I've never asked you for anything. I need you to come to Tolipandi with me. I need to ask some questions. I've asked them, I'm not getting nowhere. I went, all right, then. So he's picked me up and he's taken me into this first pub. And he said, right, this landlord's telling me that Penny had 1 or 2 or 3 gin and tonics all night, and she left. And I went, what do you think? What do you want him to say? And he said, well, I want to know exactly what she had to drink and who did she leave with, because her daughter was in the pub with her at the time. And the barman said she only had a few gin and tonics and she left happily on her own. So I've gone in there, my dad's pointed at him, I've grabbed the I pulled him over the bar and I've gone, what happened? What happened? We want to know. I said, you're purging yourself, mate. And I had the... And he said, oh, she was drinking double gin and tonics all night. And she left with her boyfriend about 5 minutes after she left. And they was trying to get money out of her. And the thing is with that, that's never been solved. Her organs are still in a fucking path lab in fucking Cardiff, mate.
Was you ever a suspect for a murder?
No. My dad was, even though he was in fucking Gibraltar.
And how did it affect your dad?
It shattered him.
Did it bring you two back close together?
Yeah, it did. And that was a shame that my dad, he had cancer and he died in Gibraltar. I'm not going to say how he died, but he died. It weren't good. You know what I mean? He done it himself. But
what was your fondest memory of your dad? Just to end that chapter on something nice.
Going on the cruises with him.
Good memories.
Yeah, he used to come over and we used to have little cook-offs like steak, and then our thing was watching James Bond.
Lovely.
So like, yeah, that's what I miss. Because when I was in Thailand, the last James Bond film come out, and silly because Daniel Craig dies at the end. My dad would have walked out if that happened. So like, sorry.
That's all right, mate.
Yeah, so I was in Thailand and like the film was come out at the cinema out there. And I was with my girlfriend and I said, we can't go and watch that. So I stopped at the Catholic church on the way to Chawang, because that's where the cinema was. Said a little prayer for me. Dad told him I'm going to watch the film for him. And I couldn't believe it when he died at the end. And I went outside and I kicked a row of motorbikes over. I was fucking in a riot state. So my dad would have walked out and had shit.
Well, so did you.
Well, I did at the end, but yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that with me. Let's talk about the time you first realised that you could fight. So you're in Dartford, so there must have been a moment that you will never forget.
Yeah, it was at the BP station. When it gets over past 9 o'clock, petrol station shut up and you've got a window, ain't you?
Yeah.
So everyone's queuing up at the window and there's this big there's a ginger lorry driver. And he said something to me and I went, what? And he grabbed me and he started fucking trying to beat me up. So I started fighting back with him. And I thought, fucking hell, I'm winning this. So I think he had me in an headlock. And the only thing I could do is bite. Instead he started screaming. I weighed him right in and I knocked him out. And I remember his mate, who never got out of the car, and his missus had to carry him back in the car. And when the fucking car was driving away, I always remember, and I'll never fucking forget this, there's a little girl looking at me crying in the back seat. I was like, fuck off, mate. She didn't see that. So, but then everyone was saying, oh, he was massive and you just fucked him up badly. So like, yeah, another couple of times, there's quite a fact that with CEC, they used to do that's a school, it's a Leeds Seed Technology College. They used to have rugby dudes there. And there was a right face there one night. And he knocked my drink out of my hand. I was drinking water as well. I went, you fucking idiot. And he said, what'd you call me? And he put his head up against mine. I went, fucking idiot, headbutt. Started fighting, beat him up. And then like a reputation, so he's beat him up and he's beat him up.
How regular were your fights?
I used to go out every weekend.
Did you get a taste for it?
Yeah, I got beat up a few times. I think anyone who's in that life, so I've never been beaten up. You've never gone up against a crowd then, mate. I remember once, I was calling it on with these two boys who didn't want a bar of it. They're just coming out of the fish and chip shop, and I'm like, you fucking pair of cunts, this, that, the other. And they proper have a tear up, and I got fucking battered. And I remember we was underneath the back of his, I can't remember what car it was, but I remember the exhaust. It was cut off into a point, like a hanging down exhaust. It was cut off into a point, and we was fucking under this car, biting each other. Fucking, we was having a good tear up, and his mate was still there. And I remember his head was right about that far away from the exhaust. I started banging his head against the back of this metal exhaust, and it cut all his head open. And I was with my mate, Joe Jones, in the Two Brewers pub about 4 weeks later. And he said, they're my two mates, they're a parachute regiment. They were on leave. You fucked his head right up, Cole. I was like, I didn't fucking... So I was just starting a fight, mate. Dartford, isn't it?
Was you aware at the time when you're that young that these lads from the Paras are out there fighting for us?
No.
It don't cross your mind when you're younger?
No. I just wanted to fight, mate.
So you had a fair few street fights in Dartford?
Yeah,
loads. Any that got out of hand? Really heavy?
The one where I bit the geezer's nipple, thumb and ear roll off up on my estate, that was bad. Yeah, bit his thumb off, bit his nipple off. He put his thumb in my mouth to try and get me off. So I bit that off, that come off easily. Then the ear roll. But I remember I was trying to clamber up him and his mate was kicking me in the head and my head was hitting a fucking car that We was in the gutter in between the car and the thingy. The geezer was on top was a bit fat. So I've had his nipple. He's still trying to fight me. He's got his thumb in my mouth. I bit his thumb off. I remember I spit that off. I can't remember if I swallowed that or not. And I was trying to get up to get to his head. And his mate was kicking me. I remember I got his ear in my mouth and the geezer kicked me and his ear come off. And that's the same thing happened with his nipple. And I had his nipple in my mouth. His mate kicked me in the head and that come off. That was a bad one. Because I woke up in the morning and I was on the settee in my mum's house. I did, fucking, you can see the bone through my knuckles. I was like, ah. Because I used to drink so much, I used to black out.
Were a lot of your street fights because you were drunk?
Yeah.
The lengths you'd take.
I haven't had a street fight. Oh, I've had a couple not being drunk, but most of my street fights, I've been under.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of people that are in jail for fighting on the street because they're pissed is nuts.
Yeah.
I avoid going out.
I do now. I mean, fucking hell, back when I was going out, it was still like the Wild West, but there was a pecking order and everyone knew everyone's pecking order. And now, everyone's stepping on everyone's toes. So, like, and no one gives a fuck. Like, even I could be me. I could go into a room and there'd be, like, 5 people less than me. One of them could have a thing in their pocket. That's me gone, isn't it?
Have you ever been stabbed?
Yeah. I was in a phone box and 3 of them have run me into the phone box, so I'm stuck. Then the Stanley knife, I could tell it's a Stanley knife, because one of them come round, pop, and it hit me there. That's the deep one there. And as they pulled it out, I heard the blade twang on my skin. I thought, that's a Stanley knife. They try to cut my throat, so I'm pulling my head down. I've got my forehead trying to pull it up so I get there. And I've managed to turn around, and I was going to have a fight, but I've never seen so much blood in all my life. So I thought, I've got to run, because like, I'm going to be dead.
Did you think you was going to die?
I just knew from being in them situations, that's too much blood. You can't, you're going to lose compression soon, and you won't be able to fight, then they're going to stab you to death. Yeah.
Self-destruct mode, do you think?
No, just do you know what? I've done loads of things, being very angry, and then not even an hour later I thought, that was a fucking major overreaction, Cole. You shouldn't have done that. And then other times I've come away from things thinking, should I go back and finish that off a bit more?
So you do reflect?
Yeah, I do reflect. When I beat that lorry driver up, I can remember I was in tears for fucking a couple of weeks. Because like, these little girls looking at me out the back of the car when they drove off. So, like, yeah.
But
yeah,
I
do feel guilt when I hurt people. It's not like I don't feel anything. I do feel a massive amount of guilt. I've had fights with people in the ring. And, the first, mate, no.
Go on, what were you going to say then?
Well, I was just going to go through the first bare knuckle fight I ever had again. But,
so what was the first fight? It was bare knuckle, yeah?
Yeah.
And so let's picture this. So you're basically storming your way through Dartford, street fight after street fight, doing people some serious damage, and then was you approached to come and do it?
Yeah, I was approached by the 2 people they started me off. You know who you are. You actually making me do these bare knuckle fights. But
your first ever one.
Okay, I thought it was funny for a different reason. Now I bumped into one of the men that started me off doing this the other day, and I told the story for the reason I thought it was funny, I thought it was funny because when we got down to the gravel pit, I hit the geezer, then I carried on hitting him and jumping on him, blah, blah, blah. One of them come running down and went, "What are you doing?" I went, "You said fucking turn around when we get to the gravel pit and start fighting." And that's what I done. He said, "You meant to let him get up." He was fat by now, he's got a ruptured spleen and everything. But that weren't the funny bit. The funny bit was, now this geezer's telling it back to me after I've just said, he went, "That weren't the funny bit." He said, "The funny bit was, you've got X recording it on a camera. Now, as we've got down to this gravel pit, I fucking hit this geezer and then jumped on his head as hard as I could. And on camera, you'd seen that happen. Now you can hear his wife screaming hysterically. Now, one of the geezers that set this up, he's looking at the geezer with the camera, he's gone, "Oi, stop recording." He's gone, "Why?" He said, "Because you've just recorded a fucking murder." So I said, what would have happened? They said, "What do you think would have happened?" She would have been, and he would have been, you know what I mean? We wouldn't go to prison for that.
So you started moving in some real heavy circles.
It weren't so much a heavy circle. It was like, if that geezer was dead when I hit him, then we'd have had to do some heavy things. Do you know what I mean?
And how did that then escalate?
He was all right. He went to hospital. I think he had a ruptured spleen. But then they said no more women at these fights. Because I think it was the screaming that they...
Disturbing.
But, yeah. I've never seen that fight back.
And how many of them bare knuckles did you have?
I had 6 and a loss.
Did you ever enter into a situation where you thought this could go really wrong?
No.
Because it's like dogfighting, isn't it? You're in the middle of a pit and you've got everyone shouting and screaming and cheering.
I always wanted to be that man so badly that I didn't give a fuck what the consequences were to be that man.
So you were fearless?
I just wanted to be that man. I've never been nothing. I wanted to be hard. I wanted people to see me knocking people out. You know?
Who's your inspiration?
Mike Tyson and Jean-Claude Van Damme. Yeah, Van Damme and Tyson. Yeah, I think that was my main staple of watching people was Tyson and Van Damme. And I used to wind that shit back. And I used to have a punch bag in the garage, and I used to be, I had my peekaboo down by the time I was about 12. Yeah.
What about the likes of Lenny McLean and Roy Shaw? Did you look up to them?
Well, Roy come up to me after one of my fights at Caesars, one of my first fights. I think it was I fought against D-Man. I had a fucking crack in my jaw. He cracked my jaw, and I was outside talking to my dad on my phone. And I was like that, and I could feel, you know, when your teeth sit next to each other like that. I feel my teeth moving against each other. So I'm like, I've got a crack in my fucking jaw. I'm spitting out blood, and he's like, well, how was it? I was like, yeah, I won. And he says, I'm spitting out blood. And he went, I'm not really interested in that, Cole. But yeah, so yeah, that was my first one at Caesars.
So from bare knuckle to then unlicensed, how did that come about? Why did you stop the bare knuckle fighting?
It was getting a bit heavy. I think someone got shot at one of the events. They moved the venue. And at that time, I was watching Cage Rage. So like, from being a bare knuckle fighter, I weren't looking to go boxing. I was looking at any fucking platform to get me, because I used to think Lee Murray, he was the bollocks. So
did you know Lee Murray?
I knew him. He beat us all up outside Zen's one night. He always had time to talk to me.
So Lee Murray has actually put his hands on you?
Oh yeah. We didn't know that we weren't at the top of the pecking order until we met him.
Why did you and Lee Murray fall out in the first place?
It weren't me and Lee Murray falling out. It was we was the Dartford boys, and we used to fucking have Zens, and we used to fucking do what we want in there. And then one night, I fucking know it was my little mate Baron. He's got dementia now, where he's had so much fucking head fucking trauma. And I remember they had two cars. What was the Vauxhall that looked more like a sports car?
Astra?
No, Calibra.
Oh yeah.
So I remember the car. They had a BMW going in front, and they had a Calibra. Now, my mate Baron thought it'd be clever and opening a door handle to try and talk to a bird that's in one of their cars. The fucking minute he's done that, we are surrounded. Like, we're not surrounded, because there was only like, there's two cars full of them, and there's about 16 of us. But we're being faced off against, and then we're fighting, and all of a sudden we're losing, and like Lee's on me, bang, 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 bang. And like at the end of it, like the police were there, like splitting us all up, and I was like, fuck me, I don't really want to go again. But there was a pile of people on the road. But that obviously gave birth to my respect for Lee and what he'd done. Do you know what I mean? That is the top of the pecking order. Yeah. We're not. We're not. Yeah. I remember once I was doing the door of Fat Sam's. Well, Lee weren't even there. He's a couple of his posse come in. And I remember there's a couple of Dartford boys in there that didn't like me and I didn't like them. There's 1, 2, 3, about 3, 4 of them. And I was doing the door down there and I was looking after the bottom of the bar. And they're like, you're a c***. I'm like, mate, I can't fight, I'm working. Right. And then like, I see Lee's boys come in. I'm like, oh, these Dartford boys will get saucy at these. And I'm going to turn my back and watch them all get fucked up. And that's exactly what happened. Like, Lee's boys come down, right, blah, 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 come over, shook my hand and that. And these Dartford boys, they started doing a bit of shadow boxing. Before I knew it, mate, the roof come off. I've turned me back, another doorman's come running over, went, don't get involved there, mate, wait till it's finished. Yeah, they got fucked up. So, yeah, I like Lee.
Yeah, do you know what? That segues nicely into Caesars, because when I was working the door at Caesars doing like the additional security for the Mean Machine Productions, which we're going to move on to now, when it would erupt in there, when it would kick off, it would kick off royally and there would be 100-man brawls. And when you work in the door, you'd go and deal with one geezer or a crowd, and then you'd get another doorman saying, no, don't touch him, he's linked with him, don't touch him. It's like, well, I've just got to sit back and let them all kill themselves.
Yeah.
It was like that. I mean, it was like the Wild West in there, wasn't it? And people love Caesars.
I used to like getting in, because he always used to fucking put me on really late, like main events, Joe did. I'm like, I want to fucking get involved, and like I used to love to have the fight, put my suit on, and be sitting next to Roy and
Mingle.
Dave, and fucking, do you know what I mean? I'm here. This is it. I've done it.
If you can explain Caesars in a few sentences? Like, just paint the picture of Caesars in Streatham.
You walk in and you've got real stuffed tigers, you know. You had the fucking stuffed tigers, so already you're thinking, hold on, this place is a little bit. And then it opens up, and you've got the lift that the fighters come down in, sometimes the main events. Then it all went round there, and then you had the changing rooms, and it just smelt of fucking fags fighting and thuggery.
It stank of thuggery.
And mate, you could get anything in there, and I do mean anything.
Guns?
Yeah, why the fuck's that in here? Yeah, no, some scary people, scary stuff.
Yeah, talk about some of the characters that would frequent Caesars.
Dave.
Courtney.
Yeah. Norman Buckling. Joe Pyle. Mitch Pyle. Rob, his bodyguard. The Mean Girls, like Wendy. She ran all the Mean Girls.
Roy Shaw, did you ever chat with him?
Yeah, that's why I've got Mean Machine tattooed on my back, because his fighting name was Mean Machine, wasn't it? And he said to me because it was the first fight with that D-man, that's what I was meant to say, or it was the second fight against JJ where I fucking absolutely battered him. And Roy said to me, "You're the only fighter in here that reminds me of me when I was fighting." Yeah. Then I had the Mean Machine tattoo done, and I come in and showed Joe. I didn't have the knuckle, I got the Mean Machine and the knuckle dusters and the pit bull in the middle. And Joe said, "Roy, come down and have a look at that. He's had this done for you." And he's gone, "That's my boy." Yeah, so, mate, Roy, he was such a nice fella.
Well, you was always very popular at Caesars, and I know that because I worked there when you were fighting there.
Yeah, thank you.
Did it feel like family when you were there?
It felt like you could do anything within reason and not be touched. You felt like everyone had your back. And the people that was there, they were not fucking, they weren't, they were all
proper people.
They were the firm. Everyone that was there was either a firm or associated with the firm. Do you remember like the firm party reunions they used to do, the craze firm reunion? I've got a framed ticket. I've got a ticket to go to one. Joe, give me one. He went, "Oh, you're one of us now. Come to that." I didn't go to it, but I always kept it framed.
And how many unlicensed fights did you have at Caesars?
15. I lost one.
Yeah, you were a big player on that circuit.
Yeah.
Explosive.
It weren't boxing skills, mate, because I didn't think about boxing. I just think about gut.
Hurting them.
If I could get across that ring and headbutt him, then I would. Do you know what I mean? If you watch the videos, like the early ones, the ref would stand back. We'd see Joe like that, sending the ref, "Don't get involved just yet."
And that ref would he'd call people out, wouldn't he?
Yeah. Oh,
I can't think of his name.
Me
but
and him had words loads of times.
Yeah, he was a character.
You got to listen to me. I know you're a fucking tough bastard. I went, "Mate, who the fuck are you talking to? He was in the ring a couple of times, and he's giving us the rules. "Listen, man, I'm not standing for none of your shit tonight." Goes like, fucking.
That's what I quite liked about just how much front he had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he still does it.
He does still do it. He's done a few on the Queensberry.
Oh, does he? What quest?
For Ross Minter.
Yeah. I had one on there.
Yeah, I remember when you done that. So, do you remember the names of the people that you fought at Caesars?
Yeah, so JJ, D-Man, Paul Hills. I remember Sven Hammer. I never fought him. Do you remember him?
No.
He was Joe's champion. One night, the bloke he was fighting got knocked out so quickly, he was calling people in out of the audience. Everyone was going, "I'll fight ya."
I remember that.
I think two or three people.
Not that actual. I remember people would call people out from the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
You fancy it coming in?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, it was like the Wild West of boxing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But then, because obviously someone got a dig from there and they passed away on the way home. So that's to fucking rethink it. This is what I got told anyway. I don't know this from 100%, but it sounds about right. Someone got a dig, they got a bleed on the brain or swelling, and they passed away from it. So Mean Machine Promotions wasn't viable anymore.
Right.
So like that's, I know they changed it very quickly from the Mean Machines promotion to the LBA, London Boxing Association.
That don't surprise me at all because it was ruthless in there.
It's fucking ruthless, mate. Was you in there at the time? Remember Manny? Not Manny. Norman Buckling, the bare knuckle fighter.
Yeah. He'd come walking through shouting on the ring.
He walked in the ring and walked straight up to the geezer and just kicked him in the face because he was standing too close to the ring. It went off big time. I don't think he got the fight.
Was you always straight when you were fighting, or was you off your head sometimes?
It was 50-50, mate. If someone was offering me a line, I would never ever turn it down.
Even before a fight?
Oh, I've got such weak willpower, even now. No, I'll probably say I was 50-50. I was probably in the zone, but I was probably a couple of lines and a beer down. Do you know what I mean? But when I went over to MMA and it turned into professional fighting, then you couldn't be in the cage when you've got... My first fight was against Lewis King. And fucking hell, did I get an hiding, mate? Did I get a fucking hiding, mate?
Was that you didn't prepare?
I did prepare. I thought I was prepared. Lewis King's got amazing punching power. He's very famous for having a deadly arsenal of striking. And it was a K1 fight with MMA gloves on. So Dave O'Donnell used to run the UK one or the MMA.
Where are we now as far as the time frame goes?
Oh, okay. Early to mid-30s.
Early to mid-30s, you're now getting into the MMA.
Well, this is why the MMA started. Okay, I was still fighting for Joe and Mean Machine Promotions, and I was getting bored with boxing. I'm like, I am a kickboxer, because I watched some Van Damme films. I trained with the kickboxers and all. I was getting padded by Matt Lane, who fought on Ultimate Challenge. He said, Cole, you need to do the cage fighting, mate. You've got all your moves in the box. No wrestling, but I had everything else, elbows, And it was a fight at Caesars against Paul Hill's mate. It was a black belt in above the waist kicking kickboxing. I was getting trained by Dan Harris was the striking coach. And Matt Lane was one of his proteges. He won a fight in the Ultimate Challenge and that. So they've already got their hands on me for a month. And then Paul Hill's mate's got his long kickboxing trousers on, loves himself, got a bit of his mullet going on. I'm looking at him thinking, like, and the refs come out straight away and he says, right, this is a K1 fight, but there's no knees. I'm like, what the fuck? How'd you have a K1 fight? No fucking, I was all right, whatever. But I ended up smashing him up in like quick time as well. I think I kicked him in the leg and I hit him in the head and then I hit him again as he was down and he took his glove off and threw it across the ring and it all went, oh. So that was my last fight there. And then I went straight into the Troxy after having a little bit more training with the guys up Semtex. Not enough, but I thought I was ready. I was like, let me have a fight. And they said, right, we've got Lewis King. And when that bell went, mate, fucking hell, it didn't take him long to get across that cage and hit me about 100 times. Really hard. So we had a punch machine in Kettles. And I always thought, my punch is going to be the hardest out of everyone's. Lewis King's come over, bang, bit heavier than yours, isn't it? I was like, yeah, I felt that. Yeah. Didn't enjoy that fight.
You also lost a lot of weight from the unlicensed, the transition between unlicensed fighting to MMA. You really, really did cut down nice, didn't you?
To be in that cage, like it's not 2 minutes, it's not 3 minutes, it's 5 minutes you're locked in that cage for, and there's 3 rounds. So like if you're going to go for the long fight and try and win on point, I'll never do that ever. But I've lasted to the championship rounds at the Scala in King's Cross before. The French team come over and I went round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 25 minutes fighting and I lost by a smidgen. Like, yeah, that was gutting. But yeah, you've got to take it seriously because you think you're using smaller gloves. You're not only being punched, you're being elbowed. That's the most dangerous part of your body. You're getting people grabbing your head, kneeing you, chucking you on the floor and trying to rip your arms off. So you've got to be prepared. So that's when I started training seriously, running. Like weight training, seriously, a serious program. Wrestling, I had to start wrestling because they pulled me out of the cage fighting because everyone's choking me out and doing that sort of thing because they see I come from the boxing. So Steve Semtex said, you've got to train for 6 months with Velma Netto. Velma Netto, he's the best in the business. And I think I was training with Netto for, I think it's 2 or 4, between, I want to say 4 months, but I want to say 2 months. I think it's 4 months. And he put me into a competition in Canterbury called Rolling Thunder. And I won the whole thing in my weight category. And the geezer that was the weight above me, no one turned up to do it, to fight him. So I said, will you do an exhibition with him? Because you're like the heaviest person. I went, yeah. I didn't tap anyone out. I just stayed dominant. I won the whole competition by staying dominant, not tapping no one out.
Do you think all the fighting kept you out of doing a long stint in jail?
Especially when you start fighting pro MMA and the videos are coming out of you, like if you get caught, if you hit someone and it goes to court, the judge is just going to say, your hands are weapons, mate. You're going to prison. So that has always been in the back of my mind. Like the fights did certainly cut down. I ain't had a street fight for a little while. I've given a few people a dig, but I'm not actually had a street fight for a little while.
And when you started fighting in the hay, in the ring and in the cage, did the street fighting slow down? Was you violent in and out of the ring?
Yeah.
Still just violence everywhere?
Yeah, I had a problem. It was trenbolone. I was taking trenbolone. And that's a demon.
Very angry water, innit?
Fucking hell. It's very angry water. It's a demon. I lost all my friends, lost my fucking girlfriend. I was fucking eating loads of paracetamol. I was getting fanned by my mates, getting taken to hospital, having to drink charcoal all the time to bring up the paracetamol. I was in a bad way because of that shit, mate. Trenbolone. Yeah. I use a little bit of gear now, I won't lie. It's more TRT now. I use a little bit of propionate, probably half a mil twice a week. Propionate's in and out of your system as well. So I use that with a little bit of GH and the peptide 157 just for my injuries.
Behind the scenes of Colin Wilby's violent streak, did you have a good woman supporting you?
Fucking hell, mate.
Because we all need that.
No, I've had headaches. There's one bird that I've had, and I should have kept her. Her name was Candy, and she was nice to me. And like, I weren't in a good place, just lost my dad. But all the others have been fucking headaches, I won't lie. Not all women like it, but I choose a very fucking toxic sort of...
Or they choose you?
The relationship's always based on that first night of sniffing and fucking and drinking. And then that continues and it just gets more toxic. Do you know what I mean? And then you're fucking... I always end up walking around... They always come around my house for one night and they always stay for fucking... They're there years. And it turns out that it gets to a point where I'm continuously walking on fucking glass and eggshells around my own house. So, you know what I mean? I get myself... It's my own fault. I'm toxic to myself, but it's like...
Because beyond the brute, there's a kind man in there, isn't there?
Yeah. I like to say, yeah.
And would you say that has been exploited by anybody over the years?
Yeah.
Not just women?
I try and help people out. Cole, I want to do what you do, blah, blah, blah. I take them along for the ride. They win a fight and then they go and do their own thing. Think they can fucking jump ship. I mean, that's happened. Not just in that scenario, but in that sort of, like, yeah, you're you, let's roll with you for a bit, see what I can link up other people, then I can go on my own. Like, I've had a lot of that, you know, users.
There's no shortage of them.
No, there's fucking lot of users out there, mate.
And what about domestic abuse within the household? You've been attacked by a female
Yeah.
with a knife.
Yeah, once in my kitchen. That was...
Don't name her, but tell me the story.
Okay, she was showing me her phone, bop, 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 bop. She had a picture of her sucking someone's cock or doing something fucking horrible like that. And she went past it on purpose, so she had all the knives set out on the kitchen side. This is what scared me. Because when she grabbed the knife and stabbed me the first time, she must have thought this was going to be fucking easy. She stabbed me once, she pulled it out, and she stabbed it again, and she looked at me like, I can't do this. So now she's got it and she's pushing pressure on it, trying to push it in. I'm like, fucking, I've had to push it and it snapped off. I've had to dart into the living room and she's picked up, I remember it, hammer with a blue handle, a Stanley hammer. And I've docked up by my radiator and she comes in, I've got to fucking let her have it. And she did, let her have it. Top half, absolutely fucking lifeless. Bottom half, like a chicken, still carrying on running for a little bit. And I thought, she's fucking dead. So I fucking run into my bedroom on the way through, opened my freezer up, ripped everything out, thinking, I ain't going to prison for the sitting on my bed, it's like this. Then I heard her going, waking up, I was like, one fucking time, you know what I mean, thank God.
And how did that relationship come to an end? Because it's very hard leaving a toxic relationship. It becomes an addiction, a trauma bond. How did it sever?
She left me. Yeah.
So you were still willing to tolerate that?
It was a fleeting relationship, mate. And one day she was there, and it was all good, and it was intense and toxic. And the next day she was gone, and I'm glad.
Yeah, it sounds like you dodged the bullet, literally. What part of drugs played in your life?
I love them. All right. Okay. I was always fucking curious about drugs. I was always very, very curious about drugs. Because my dad always put such a massive stipulation on you are fucking out the minute I catch you with a cigarette, drugs, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so my dad's wife at the time, Penny, we've talked about her earlier on, her daughter was just come back from college in Cardiff. And me and her brother were setting up a tent, going to go do a bit of camping, pissing it down. We couldn't set the tent up. And she's there, I've got some weed. And I'm like, what, drugs? And she's going, yeah, I want to try it. And she went, just a couple of spliffs. So we've gone into where my dad lived, Tixover Grange. Like there's two massive lakes. We've gone down to the bottom lake. And where I was greedy. Where I started smoking is my mum bought me 20 Berkeley menthol to take to a school disco to sell, and I smoked them all. And then after that, I was always getting up before my mum got out of, and I was in her ashtray, dog ends, straighten them out. My dad's wife's dog ends, straighten them out. Proper on the old cigarettes. I was smoking dog ends until they'd make me fucking throw up. So I was already smoking, so I didn't have a problem with that. So she brought the cannabis down to the bottom lake, and she's going, steady on. I'm like, no, I'm all right, bang, 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 bang. And it's hit me, and I think, oh, I've shit myself. I went all white, shaking, and she's like, oh my God, I've got to take you into my mum, and your dad's going to kill me. So she's put me on a bench. There's like one of these picturesque benches in one of these hedgerows. And she's like sat there and assessed me for a bit, and I'm in a bad way. Whitey, the biggest whitey. It's my first whitey, so it's going to be a big one. And then all I remember is waking up on the sofa, my dad going mad, going, you ever bring fucking drugs into my house again? And then my dad's having to go at me, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what's going on. I remember what I was watching though. I was watching Jurassic Park. Yeah, I was watching Jurassic Park when that was happening. But yeah, that was my first encounter with drugs. And then after that, I didn't really want to smoke any more weed or cannabis, whatever that was, because I felt like shit. That whitey scared me. I thought I was going to fucking die. But then my second was cannabis again, but in Dartford. Everyone was smoking it. It was like rather than get a fag out, people would have a joint, twist the end, we'd all sit out at the park. So I was well into my puff, solid puff. And then started, like the weed got stronger, didn't it? And then my mate Christian, he had family in London, and he'd bring in bits and bobs back. And he says, got some cocaine. I was like, whoa, I've heard of this. So I'd gone into my mum's bathroom. And he was a tight cunt. It was a little tight, I couldn't even hardly see it. I've done it. It didn't do nothing to me. And I remember one of my other mates sold it. So I thought, I want to go and have a try of this. I went, sell me half a gram. He lives across the road from my mum. And he went, you don't do this. I went, yeah, I want to have a go. So I took it over to my mum's house, and he said, mate, you went in there, and I fucking knew it. I was sitting there, and I could see blue lights on the side of my fucking living room wall, and I've looked out, and there's an ambulance, and you're getting in it. I went, yeah, I couldn't breathe, I couldn't swallow. Yeah, like I'd done it all, like half a gram. And then it was proper gear back then. It hit my throat, swelled up, run the ambulance. I've done some cocaine. I don't think I'm going to live. And then doing speed, going to Zens on a Thursday night. That if you went to Zens on a Thursday night, you'd have to do a gram of speed, up all night talking shit. And then that moved back to coke, then pills. When I discovered pills, that was great. That was I was on a curfew because I give someone a dig in Zens, and I was going to Amadeus, sneaking out, running down to Dartford, getting on the Amadeus bus, going to Amadeus, and someone gave me a pill. Best thing ever.
I'm almost certain you've worked the doors during these years, but I also want to know if the drugs got a hold of you.
Yeah, of course I did, yeah.
Yeah, because they get you in the end. So I'm assuming you worked the doors as well.
20 years on the doors, on and off, and now I look at it as games. Now, the game I used to play was watching people going into the toilet and watching them coming out doing that with their nose. And that was my sole purpose, not to fucking stop fights, is to go and confiscate or take a bit of their gear or have a deal with them. Give me a bit of that and I'll keep you all right all night. So I loads and loads of drugs. It got hold of me, burnt an hole through the top of my nose, stopped sniffing. I'm sober for over 2 years now, about 3 years, I think.
Fair play, brother.
I had a little bump a little while ago, but that was just, I think that don't really count.
How bad did your drug habit get? Because the
I
thing is,
smoke weed, one joint a night.
I think a lot of people do. I mean, like when you were
love a joint,
when you were doing the Charlie, what kind of a grip did that get on you? Because what a lot of people don't realise is if you're doing Charlie every Friday and Saturday, even if you're doing it every other Friday and Saturday, that's a habit.
Yeah.
It's still a habit.
Yeah. And the thing is for me, is like, I used to have quite a lot wrapped around me. And you'd always have a little pinch, and that would turn into a line, and that would turn into a beer. And I couldn't do one without the other. So if I had a beer, the first thing that popped in my head was having a line. If I was to have a line, the second thing that popped in my head would have a beer. And then I used to, because I sniff, I'm my own worst enemy, mate. I sniff, and as soon as I get a pain in my chest, I've got to drink 20 Stellas to wash the coke out of my system. And when I'm feeling a bit pissed again, then I fucking top up on the coke. So it's like that. So it weren't healthy.
How frequent were you doing it? Every day?
I met a young bird. She was a lot younger than me, and she used to come to me as like do sniff and that, and I had my own place, and she was a bit of a player, and it got out of hand when I was with her. I can remember like we used to fucking sniff it and shag it, and at the end of the night when she used to go or stay, but when it used to wear off and I was laying in bed, the most unbelievable pain, and I would smell rotting flesh up my nose. So do you know what I used to do? So any paracetamol was not going to touch that fucking pain, mate. That's like something burning through your fucking septum. So have you ever heard of oral gel that you put on your teeth if you've got bad tooth or toothache? It's called lidocaine. It's a little thing like that, or oral gel. So I was just basically sniffing a tube of that when I was going to sleep. That's the only thing that would numb it. Cause that was I could smell rotting flesh. It was just bad. I was doing loads.
How did it all affect your mental health?
I was doing it all to keep hold of this little bird. I was trying to keep up the persona that I want to be, and with the young ones. I was a lot older than these lot at the time. So I was trying to fucking just mingle with them, try and keep up with them. And they got to remember, I've done all this before. And again before.
Veteran.
So like, it's just, I'm eating away at old injuries, keep putting it up my nose, but I'm trying to fucking, do you know what I mean? Trying to keep her in gear. And that was the relationship. It was based around the sniff.
So in and out of your entire fighting career has always been drug usage as well?
No, not always. I've been through 6 months clean.
But for the bulk of it?
It's going to cast me in a bad light, I say, yeah. But that's just me being honest. But when it was important, if I had an important fight, I wouldn't touch drugs for 6 weeks. The fight was more important to me than fucking the drugs.
Well, it doesn't put you in a bad light. It puts the light on the substance having such a strong hold on somebody, even if they're fighting for their life, that drug is still going to creep in.
You've heard of GHB? Mm-hmm. Fuck. Right, I had a really bad one on that. I was GHB is a bodybuilder's drug, and they take that when they go to bed because it helps their brain switch off for longer, which helps you grow. So my mate Mick it looked like a fucking bar of butter, and every time we used to go, he never used to drink or nothing. He used to have Red Bulls. And we used to go back to his flat, and he'd say, go and have a bit of GHB if you want. I used to get it out of the fridge, and when you scoop it off with a spoon, it used to roll up like butter, you know. I used to eat loads of it, and go and lay down, and I think, this is a bit shit. And it never used to make me, I used to feel it, but it never used to make me really off my nut. And Mick wanted to get big off it. He wanted to use it properly. I was abusing it. So he got himself a bottle, put a proper measurement in this plastic bottle, done it up, put it in his fridge, forgot about it for a week. Now me and him are out, and we've pulled a couple of Turkish birds, and we've took them back to his flat. I want some drugs. Like, I've sniffed all my coke and blah, blah, blah. And I remember the GHB. And I said, Mick, where's GHB? And he went, oh, me mate come and bought half of it, and I'll give the other half to... I went, is that in the bottle still? And he went, yeah. And I remember there's only a little bit in the bottle mixed with water, but where it had been in the bottle and fermented, I've drunk it. It tasted really strong, I can remember. It's like drinking seawater. I've done it again, and I was sitting on the living room floor with these Turkish birds and Mick. And next thing I know, I wake up in Dartford Hospital with my mum crying next to me. They put my mum in the room that they take you when you're going to tell you your spouse is going to fucking die.
So you were bad.
I was that fucking close, mate. I was just about to slip into a coma and die. GHB, no good.
So where you've lived a life of violence and a life of drugs, it was the drugs that nearly killed you, not the violence.
My mind's always been like a fortress when it comes to like, I ain't going to let no one fucking, you know what I mean? I'm going to get you before you get me. But then the drugs sort of perforate that. It makes it easier for people to get through. So when you're taking drugs and you're an hard man, the drugs are going to ultimately soften you up. So the next person that comes round for you, you know what I mean, they've got a better chance of getting you. Drugs and being an hard man don't work. If you're going to be an hard man, you've got to be in the gym, you've got to be on top of your diet. You've got to make yourself hard. Drugs don't make you hard. They make you fucking, you know what I mean? I don't miss sniffing. I feel like anxious thinking about sniffing.
I get that totally. I've got the same with acid LSD. That was the one that haunts me forever.
Oh, I had a bad thing a little while ago. I was in Thailand and I was seeing a girl that runs a massage place. She went, "Do you want a mushroom milkshake? You can get them out there. Totally legal." I went, "Yeah." And she went, "Yeah, it's shroom shake." I drunk half of it. She drunk half of it. And I was in the same place on that beach for 12 hours. I'm like, fuck this, mate. It's horrible. It's not a good buzz.
How did the whole Thailand chapter of your life come about? So let's go back. So MMA in the UK, that's come to an end.
Yeah, I got a separated bicep. Do you know what? I said that Adrian Preda got me in an armbar. He didn't actually get me in an armbar. We started the fight and we had a tussle and I heard it go pop. I think he choked me out. But then I was working with some boys in Semtex a couple of days later and I was getting them just to roll with the hooks. And I weren't doing them hard and I hit him on the shoulder and it just went... So I weakened it from the fight with Adrian Preda. And then his name was Hong and I hit him on the shoulder and his fucking bicep shot into my fucking armpit. And that's the end of it. No more MMA. Wrestling's out of the question, but I still want to fight. So those doing their club excursion to Thailand, I'm all over that. So I went out there the first time, 16 days, come back, I think it was a year, went back out there. Then my mate Chris fought and a little boy called Connor, Thai boxing in Thailand. I thought, I need to do this. So the next time I went out there, I want to fight, I want a bare knuckle fight though. So I had a bare knuckle fight. My mate Chris had a bare knuckle fight. My one, I got knocked out. He got knocked out as well, Chris did. I got knocked out by a dude called Farley Kit, who was like the island heavyweight sort of champion. And I went away from that and I just kept watching it back on YouTube and a couple of people who don't like me left a couple of comments. I thought, I've got to go back out there. So I went back out there, beat him, stayed out there on and off for 3 years, just going home, coming back. Oh, the thing is with me, with Thailand, it's the humidity. When I went to the quarantine once, I was 16 days, and I was looking at myself in the mirror thinking, oh, you look ill, I feel ill. And I was looking at my eyes, and they were all fucked and yellow, and my teeth was all... Do you remember, like, The Fly, the film The Fly?
Seth Brundle.
When he's fucking looking in the mirror and he's got bits of him falling off.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that. I was looking in the mirror, tooth wobbly, fucking clump of hair, and like my fingernails were all wobbly, and I'm like, fucking hell. So, like, every so often... Probably 120 days, I've got to come home for a little while. So everything's... The moisture. If you're not a tropical person, you can't just move straight out to Thailand.
Not only that, I've been to Thailand several times and I found... Well, I spend my life people watching and observing the environment. And what my takeaway from Thailand was, this place could very easily chew you up and spit you out and mince your mind.
That's what I said to...
and all the misfits of society gravitate to Thailand.
They do. Yes, they do. Not in a bad way. I've got the utmost respect for Thailand and the Thai people. I think they're fucking fantastic. But you do get a lot of people that want to abuse... I'm just going to say it. Want to fucking put their cock in a young little... It's disgusting. Do you know what I mean? I was out there with a dude called Marcus Burke once, and he said, Colin, one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen, I was in Phuket, and there was an old German bloke, big and fat, and he had a little 14-year-old boy sitting on his lap with leather hot pants on. And he said, I just had to tell him, mate, can you please fuck off? Because I can't eat my fucking breakfast while I'm looking at you with that little boy.
What would you have done if you'd have seen that?
You see my bag? I've got pictures of Sarah Payne on there. I don't let it. I hate all that, mate. I used to do things with the hunted ones, and the reason I can't work with them anymore because I give a couple of fucking pedos a right hiding. But yeah, I'm like I wouldn't be able to hold myself back.
Fucking good on you as well.
I would do time and happily hold my hands up and say, yeah, I've done that because he done that.
Yeah, fair play.
Do you know that like fucking that who killed them fucking Sarah and Jessica, Ian Huntley? Do you know he's allowed an hour a week to get his fucking little crew together, his nonce crew in prison, and they're all allowed to sit there and talk about what they want to do? They're allowed to do that once a week, an hour a week.
Ridiculous.
And that's fucking ridiculous, yeah. And my mum knew one of the detectives from Huntington that was dealing with that, and it ruined his life. He said he didn't just kill them little girls, he mutilated them. People like that, they go to prison and they can like live a nice long life, have their little club meetings once a week, still carry on their fucking sick fantasies, and we're paying for it, being taxpayers. Then on the other hand, when you're out of prison, you've got all this fucking woke and pronoun stuff that's creeping in now. And you've got people giving children hormone blockers. Do you know they just passed a law that you're not allowed to give 8 or 12-year-old hormone blockers anymore?
Yeah, mate.
You shouldn't do that anyway. Fucking give kids hormone blockers.
This interview's about you, so I won't go off on a rant because I share the exact same sentiment.
100%.
But yeah, so go back to Thailand. What was your overall experience there?
I wanted to fight, I wanted to be a Thai boxer. Obviously, when I went out there, I was a little bit old, but I managed to get on a couple of the big shows, took a couple of losses, had 1, 2, 3 wins out there, so it was all good. Fought in Cambodia. It was just a really good experience. The first, like you said, Thailand can either spit you out in a bad way or you'll have a really positive experience from it. So my first experience, I can't say anything really bad happened, but I didn't come away feeling I've just had an enriching experience. I see all the temples and everything, but it still was like, I weren't there long enough, or I got taken away too quick. So I had to get back out there on the second year that we went in, and that time was a good experience. Then I thought, this is a bit of me, I've got to get out of here. So for 4 years, on and off, backwards and forwards all the time. Had a house out there, girlfriend.
So I think I've been to Thailand, let's say 10 times. And the first time I went there, I was doing all the whiskies, all the energy drinks that they mix with it. I was completely blitzed out of my nut for the first 4 or 5 nights. And then I had the come down of a lifetime, and I was still trapped out there for 10 days. The worst anxiety. Well, that's how it felt, because I was also trapped in my mind. I had the worst anxiety that I've ever had, and it's a withdrawal, it's panic.
Yeah.
I lost my mind over there, and I didn't realise that you can go and buy whatever you want over the counter. So I spent 10, 11 days with no anti-anxiety, no Valium, and I could have just gone and bought it.
Mate.
So the first experience for me was terrible, like yours, and then afterwards I learned, when you go to Thailand, don't drink, enjoy the scenery and the sun.
Because they mix the spirits with white spirit and that. I was out there with an American called Mike once. He went, Colin, drink this or that. Don't let them be making your cocktails. You get pissed, but it ain't going to be fucking what you think it is in there.
What are them buckets, whiskey and...
Hong Tong. You've got Hong Tong, which is a whiskey, then you got Samsung, which is a rum.
The Samsung.
Yeah.
That blew my brains out. And the Singer Lager, I mean, it's like 6%. It don't sound like a lot, but
it's awful.
And did you get around all the islands?
I got around...
Chiang Mai, Phuket, Koh Samui?
Yeah. Koh Samui, Chiang Mai. My best place, I think, was Bangkok when I was in quarantine for the first time. It was the last time I actually went back to Thailand, but I was in quarantine for 16 days and I was in a bad way in this hotel. Do you know what the first thing I'd done when I got there?
So you flew there and then they put you in quarantine straight away?
I already sorted the quarantine out, paid for the quarantine. I told them I'm not having no fucking injections for this bullshit. First thing I'd done, looked at myself in the mirror, right, new man. Pulled all my Valium out, pop down the toilet. Yeah, all my fucking Valium down the toilet. My Zoplicone sleeping tablet. I know that you can't get them in Thailand, so I thought I'll keep a couple of them. But I want to withdraw off the Valium. I've got to get off the Valium. So I think it's 3 days later, I'm fucking pacing the floor. You can see my footprints in wet. So it looks like I've just got out of the shower. Now you had the nurse on WhatsApp, and I'm like, I need some Valium. And I've showed them my empty packets of all popped. I said, this is my medication. I showed her the box, blah, blah, blah. And she went, Mr. Colin, we don't like giving Valium out in Thailand. I said, well, you better fucking come and send me home then, because I've put all mine down the toilet. She said, oh, no, you can't do that. You can't just stop taking Valium. Yeah, I know that now. I said, but I do need a prescription of Valium or a plane ticket back to England. And she come up and she'd made an assessment of me. She went, I'm going to send the doctor up here, but we don't like giving Valium. He was a funny little dude, and he's knocked at the door. And by that time, I've got no top on, my little pants. There's water footprints all round. And he shook my hand. And he's gone, oh, hello, Mr. Colin. Have you just had a shower? I went, no, mate, that's me. Totally soaked. Said, that is anxiety. And he went, I'm going to write you out a prescription for some Valium. So I said, oh, thank you. I was like that. I was like that. Thank you so much. And he went, there's a prescription, wait for the nurse to come round tonight, you can give it to her, then she's going to go to the dispensary and get them. I'm like, fuck me, so when am I going to get them? He said, probably about midnight. And I think it was about 12 o'clock by this time. So I'm just sitting there. It was the longest, I was just sitting there, and then I had the nurse come, grab the thingy. Then she went to the dispensary, brought them back up, and she went, there you go. And I remember it was one strip, 14 yellow, 5 milligrams. And I dropped one, and I broke one in half and put it under my tongue. And I stood in front of the mirror in the bathroom. And as soon as it hit me, my fucking pupils just went like that. And I was like, why ever did I flush them all down the toilet? That was the worst move I've ever done. I nearly went home.
Well, that's the thing. Diazepam withdrawal is physical as well as mental, isn't it?
Motherfucker, is it, mate?
Heavy.
I was sweating. So I was having a major, major panic attack. This is one good thing I did learn out of this situation. I thought, I knew that I was going to die. This heart was going to, then it started missing beats. And I thought, I need a hard reset. I hate cold water. I walked straight into that shower with all my clothes on, bang, bang, bath water, the shower and the bath on at the same time. Took it as much as I could, turned the air conditioning on to freezing. When I stood under that, and I thought, yeah, that's a hard reset. Got back into bed. I remember I was watching Red Dwarf, had it stored on my Fire Stick. Felt it again. I thought, right, straight back in there after I've dried myself off. So shower on, freezing cold. So I worked it out after 3 hard resets. It had ground me. But I did that. That is the time I did think I need my Valium. I need a Valium. Now, the Thai government changed their laws and policies daily. On day 10, they said your quarantine's over, you're free. I'm free in Bangkok. So straight over to the first chemist. 10 milligram Valium, do you have them? I went, yes, main brand or Thai. I went, main brand. So I bought fucking a wad of them like that. And I thought, I'm never running out of them again. But yeah, I had a good 6 days running around Sarong Road in Bangkok. Got lost giving food out one night. I went out for a walk one night, and there's so many homeless children in the doorways and that, covered up with newspaper, no shoes on their little feet, all black feet. And that got to me one night. Next day, I spent about 50 quid in a 7-Eleven's, a lot on like steak sliders, all different sandwiches. And that night, I fucking got myself all kitted up in all my black stuff. And I knew it was, did I know or did I not know it was, not quarantine, what's it called, curfew, 10 o'clock. So I've gone out onto the street, I managed to give a few bottles of water away, so I could give one of these crates so it lightens my load, but I still got a load fucking, and I was walking for about 3 hours, sandwiches, giving them all out. And I walked up this is what I shouldn't have done, I took a right. And then I noticed I'm in alleyways and people are disappearing, and I can see so it's like proper dodgy, and I'm thinking, I need to get out of here, and now I'm panicking. So now I've walked through this fucking building site and I didn't see the wet cement sign, and my feet have gone that far into wet cement in Thailand where it's really hot and fucking humid. And now I'm trying to get out of this alleyway system, and you can't, mate, fucking hell, it's so bad. So I noticed there was a little camera on a motorway bridge, and it was following me backwards and forwards. And in the end, I've dropped my bag and I'm help like that. And then 2 policemen on mopeds pulled up. They said, jump on the back. And I got off and they said, we know you're at 57 Sarong Road Hotel. You need to come and see us in the morning. And I got up in the morning and they said, we think they're going to ask you to go home because you broke the curfew. And I was fucking feeding babies. And I went over to the police and they said, it's lucky we knew what you was doing, because if you didn't have a bag full of food and water giving it out, you'd be fucking back to England and not coming back to Thailand ever again. Do you know what another thing was about that? I wanted to do that as like a ninja-style mission. So the only person I let know was my girlfriend in Lamai. She was so proud of me, she put it all over fucking Facebook. I'm like, what are you doing? I said, that was meant to be like a quiet, you know what I mean? A little,
not for clout.
That's humility. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to tell anyone about that.
That was a personal thing for you.
If you can walk down a fucking road and see babies starving and literally heaving where they've got no food in their stomach, and you can go and sleep and carry on the next day and the next day without thinking back on that. No, I couldn't. I had to go out and buy some food and fucking feed them.
But so many people can.
If everyone was to do it, there still would be a crisis. It's massive out there.
But we still do need to pull together more.
Yeah, of course, but we never will we?
I don't think so. But we need more acts like that.
Yeah, but like...
And I tip my hat to you for that, brother.
It upset me when I see the kids. I just don't like it.
No. And how did the Thailand trip come to an end. And so you're over there during the pandemic?
Yeah, the visa office said, no stamping this month, no stamping this month. And that went on for fucking, I think I got a year out of it. And then I come home, went back out there, and that's when I hit that quarantine we just talked about. Now, the only thing I didn't, before they told me that I could run around the roof for 45 minutes a day, all I had was a skipping rope, and I sweat a lot. So I was doing it with my trainers on, where I'm sweating so much, it's a marble floor, they're all marble floors, I'm fucking slipping over, I think I could fucking crack my head open, so I do it in barefoot with a towel there, just wipe the floor. I ended up doing like in between 15 and 30 rounds a day of skipping, and that has chopped through my Achilles tendon on my heel, because you've got to put your heel to the floor every other rotation of the rope. Now that gave me plantar fasciitis, which made my feet so fucking sore. And then at that time I was back at Lamai Muay Thai training. I couldn't do my runs properly. There was so much problems coming from my feet and my Achilles tendon. And I really wanted to get over to this show called Muay Thai Core, which is Thai boxing but with MMA gloves. And you don't have all the traditional thing at the start. You just get in and have it. It's more. So I really wanted to fight on that. And Ralph come up to me, the boss of Lamai Muay Thai, and he said, Cole, we can get you on next show. I'm like, my feet? And he said, no, what it is, you're not going to have the injection. You're not going to have the vaccination. For you to go to Phuket and fight on this show, you need the vaccination. So this is the one window we can get you there without the vaccination. I was like, go on then, fuck it. So I went there. Obviously, I couldn't move out of the geezer's way. He just knocked me out with an elbow behind the ear. And then, because I knew that Jack and Joe, my trainers, they said to me, Cole, we know that you've got bad feet, that the promoter knows you've got bad feet. So whatever happens on the end of this fight, you get another go. So I was like, sweet. So I got knocked out. Not knocked out, but I got knocked down, unable to continue. But I knew that as soon as I get out of there, I'm training, because I'm coming back there and I'm fucking letting them all know who I am. So the first training day was an 8K run. And I think they made it a bit harder to see if I could drop it. I didn't make it. We run half the way to Chawang, nearly up to Bo Put. As soon as we got back to Lamai, I was like, they'd see me limping. They was like, get on the back of the scooter, go back to the gym. So I just fucking booked my ticket home.
I've had plantar fasciitis.
Fucking hurts, doesn't it?
So the whole time you're telling me this story, I don't want to interrupt, but I'm wincing. How far did you manage to run with plantar fasciitis?
Yeah, I'm glad that Liam has actually, because you don't know how painful it was and how much I wanted to do them fights in Thailand. And, Colin's weak, blah, blah. No, plantar fasciitis is a fucking thing and it does hurt. So I managed to run. I was still doing my runs. I was doing my 4K runs with plantar fasciitis. After the fight, it was that bad that I think I got up to halfway to Chawang, all the way back. I think I ran about 2K, and then they see me. I was jumping over my feet, limping, and Jack or Joe said, "Get on the back of the moped. It's all over."
It's excruciating.
Fucking is.
Excruciating.
I'm glad you said that, because there's no one else that can relate to it.
Yeah. The whole time I'm just thinking about that stoic mindset, because I wouldn't be able to run a metre with plantar fasciitis.
But do you know how much that killed me, knowing that if I didn't run that fucking 10K that day, it's all over for me in Thailand.
That's a horrible position to be in.
Yeah, it fucking is.
And then you flew home.
Yeah. My mum was dying anyway. She had aneurysm. I fought someone out there called Lion, and my sister's rang me up a few days before the fight and said, Mum's gone to St Thomas's, her aneurysm's 5 centimetres on her heart. I'm like, fucking hell. But she don't want you to come home, stay out there and have the fight. Had the fight, won it, went home, blah, blah, blah. I think I managed to go out to Thailand one more time. Then I come back and I went to stay with my mum for a couple of days, and my niece Lauren, she's a district nurse, she's just said out of the blue, so I'll give you a lateral flow test. Me, my mum and my auntie, and we've fucking all got COVID, and I brought it in the house. Now 2 weeks after that, my mum was dead. Yeah. And the contrast between getting told your mum's dead and your dad's dead. When I got told my dad was dead, I got a knock at the door at 3 o'clock in the morning. It was my sister standing there, and I fucking knew it, either mum or dad, but it's gone, it's happened. So I got a knock at the door, your dad's gone, there's nothing I can do about it. But my mum, I've watched her die, you know what I mean, 2 weeks. I've always carried a bit of guilt from that, because I think that if I never went into the house, if I'd just stayed where I was at, then she wouldn't have caught COVID. But she had COPD as well, end stage, so that didn't help.
Did you have all the restrictions at the funeral as well?
No, went without a hitch. But the before and after, family feuds, like mum was the glue holding the family together.
The cement.
Absolute. She'd be rolling in her grave.
Has it prevented you from grieving properly?
Fucking has it, mate. Everyone seems to have moved on, and it still seems like yesterday my mum died. That's how I feel every day when I wake up. You know what? If people have got to move on. It might be me, but I don't think I want to. I want to remember. I want to be miserable. I don't fucking want to be happy. I don't. It's not that I don't want to live my life. I want to live my life, and I am panicking a bit. I'm 45 this year, and I'm not actually moving on from this.
It's been a struggle.
It's a struggle now, mate. Panic attacks I get is when I think about my mum. I only get panic attacks when I think about my mum. She'll creep in my head, and I think, if I'm doing something like having a good time with my pals or at the gym, and I'll just forget about it for a second, it come in my head. Why are you forgetting about it? You shouldn't be forgetting about that. It's your mum. It's not like you lost a phone or your keys. You lost your mum.
It is like you want to feel that pain forever because they've earned the right.
Yeah. And I don't think that I was there enough for my mum. Do you know what I mean? Like all Thailand and that while she was ill wasn't the best move. I should have been there with my mum.
After losing your mum, would you say that you slipped into a state of depression?
No, I've always been a little bit depressed. When my dad died, that's when it started. And then, do you know what? I get days when I'm asleep and I wake up and I know I'm awake, but I just don't want to fucking look. I get so agoraphobic. Someone could be ringing my phone and I'll freeze and I'll be too scared to turn the fucking phone over to see who's ringing it. I know it sounds ridiculous, but that's how bad it is. I see Eddie Murphy do a thing on Instagram the other day. He says, you have 75 summers on this earth. You have 75 birthdays. You have 75 Easters, if you're lucky. And it's so like that. And then there's something else on the end of it. And I'm thinking, that is true. We've only got a certain amount of time. But I've got this fucking depression holding me back. I can't get out there and live the life I want to live at the minute because I've got this demon on my back. This won't let me get out of bed. It's putting bad thoughts in my head. Do you know what I mean? Instead of going to the gym, no, Colin, you can stay in bed all day, watch some films, smoke some weed, take some Valium. It's easy, isn't it? But then that's an hour of my life I will never get back. I spent it laying in bed sweating with fucking paranoia and fucking anxiety. You know?
Have you had therapy?
No. I had his name Dr. Rizwan, and he used to use me as a guinea pig to test out any and every fucking antipsychotic medication he's tried me on. And then he'd put me on another thing called lorazepam. Now, them things used to make me sleepwalk and wreck the fucking kitchen. I mean, I literally used to be like a Tasmanian devil going into the kitchen. There'd be things in the oven turned on, fucking chili powder everywhere, honey, fucking peanut butter. Be like a poltergeist has been in your kitchen one night. So every medication, even the Valium, like that, they make me sleepwalk a little bit. But his therapy was
meds.
His little paper book. And what new things, what groundbreaking medication we can try me on next. But what we're not thinking of is the 10 other medications that are still in my body. What's going to happen when this new one's introduced this time? You know?
I'm so anti that. Speak about it and then do things that are going to improve your cardiovascular and your mindset, like exercise. Yeah. Just dishing out meds is not the way.
No, mate. No. I wish I could just stop taking Valium. That's the only thing that I have to have.
Is that the current battle?
I take them as and when I need them. So I won't take them religiously, 2 at this time, 1 at this time. If I feel a bit nervous, I'll have one. I'll put it under my tongue, I'll let it dissolve, and it sort of works instantly. I do take 2 at night with my sleeping tablets. But yeah, that's the only thing. If I ain't got my Valium, I do panic. Because
it's a safety blanket.
Mate, no, I'll tell you what it is. Like, my auntie says it as well. She says, the doctors keep saying, well, Jackie, you've got to come off the Valium. I'm fucking 80 years old. Why should I like them? Why should she? And if they're serving a purpose, like, if I'm working myself up in such a state, I'm just about to fucking have a stroke or a heart attack, why shouldn't I have a little pill to put under my tongue that take it all away? I do think that they've saved my life a couple of times. I mean, when I get myself in a state, I can, whether it's over money, someone I don't like, a fight I've had, they ground me.
What do you think, I mean, if you thought this deep, what do you want from the world? What do you want out of life?
Fucking hell, I wanted to fight forever. That's what I wanted to do. But then, like, I was a really good 40. You know what I mean? I was still competing. And then I started to think, this is beginning to fall apart a little bit. So at the minute, I'm at the place where I want to carry on fighting. I want to carry on competing. Obviously, I never wanted to be put in a veterans class, but obviously now's the time that I might have to start fighting people a bit closer to my age. I still fight the 27-year-olds and that. But yeah, I wanted to fight forever. I wanted to hold that legacy forever.
What about peace?
Peace.
I've had a life flooded with trauma, but today, this is your story, not mine. And if I was asked that question, if you could pick one thing that you could retain for the rest of your life, what do you want, yearn and pine for? I would probably say peace. That's why I asked you the question, because I know that I would choose peace over most things.
What, peace of mind?
To be more specific, a peaceful mind.
Yeah, I'd go with that. As long as the peace fell under the umbrella covering all my little things that hold pressure to me, you know what I mean? Like, I want to be peaceful with the fact that I can't fight like I used to be able to anymore. I want to feel peace that the fact that my mum is gone and my dad is gone. And all the fights I've had, I've always really enjoyed them. I've always enjoyed the process of getting ready for the fight. I've always really enjoyed winning the fight. Obviously, losing the fight, I'll go on a little bit of a downer. But since my dad died, I was always fighting, and my mum died, so I'm always fighting for my dad or my mum now, and it's never for me. And all the fights I've won in this time, since my dad died 8 years ago to my mum's died, I've won a load of fights, and whether I win, lose, I'm always fucking miserable now, because it's not a fight for me. It's a fight for my dad's on my shorts with a cross, rest in peace. My mum's there. It's not a fight for me anymore. I'm going in there to do it for my mum and my dad. You know what I mean? So, next fight I have is going to be for me.
Well, when you go and see a grieving counsellor, they will say to you, you have to remember the living, including yourself.
Yeah, my little mate George, when I said that to him yesterday, he said, yeah, I get that.
Keep them with you because they are with you.
Yeah.
You're 50% of both of them people. Your mum and your dad are always going to be alive in you.
I am quite a morbid person, and whenever I'm fucking... do you know what? I always took a little bit of my dad's clothing, put it under my wraps, and I lost a fight once when I had it under there, and I was like, fuck, it sent me mad. Like, I think I'll give up for about 6 months, and then, like, I keep thinking they can see ya. Do you know what I mean? So I've got to get back in there. I always know they can see me, so that's what makes it worse. I don't want them to see me and I'm not doing well.
Just do your best. As long as you're doing your best, you're doing them proud.
Yeah, I know my dad, he didn't like the fighting and that, but I know he was proud of me.
I tell you what, it seems to me like you are an absolute ball of energy and you've always had somewhere to put it and channel it and focus it. So I'm really glad that you're back now fighting and you're going to compete again. Whether it's veterans or not, who cares? You're putting your energy somewhere and it's for a positive. So I would say from what I've got from today, get some grief counselling. Most of the people I know have strength. Some of the strongest people I know, they get therapy regularly. Even if they don't think they need it or they've got nothing to really talk about, they just talk openly. So that's my 2 pence worth in, because I would love to see you heal.
Yeah.
I would love to see you have a peaceful mind.
One of my friends goes to CA, Cocaine Anonymous. And because he said to me, because we had an altercation once, and he said, you fucking need therapy. I don't want to. He said, come to CA with me. We'll talk and we've all got each other. So, like, do you know what I mean? I've thought about therapy and that and grief cancer. But bereavement cancers, everyone's been trying to get me to see one.
Man to man?
Yeah.
I think you need therapy.
Because we're on the same level page, Liam, I think I will, because you've said it.
I mean, how have you found talking openly today?
Do you know, like, you get a toffee nose sitting there with his legs crossed with his notepad.
I get that.
If that was that, and I didn't know him, then I wouldn't have been able to do that. Because it's you, and, like...
We can relate.
Yeah.
And I'm exactly the same. If I think somebody can't relate to what I'm saying, I think you're not qualified for my story.
You know what I mean? Exactly. Yeah.
Let's end on something nice. Just spend a couple of minutes rattling off a fond memory of your mum that you will never forget that makes you really, really happy.
When my mum didn't, she went through a time when she was sober in Stamford in Lincolnshire, and she didn't have a lot of money. She didn't have no money, because I remember she had to drive to in Peterborough, and asked my auntie Jackie, we ain't got any cleaning stuff, we ain't got any food, so she gives us some tins of beans. In contrast, my dad is fucking really rich. So it's the time I felt a little bit caustic towards my dad. So my mum's living in a council house in Stamford in Lincolnshire, no carpets on the floor. We're eating beans on toast. And I remember when she's made me dinner and that, and she said, we ain't got a lot, but what we have got is good. And I remember that she used to like me films. Me and my mum, we used to like have film nights, and she used to let my mates come after school. And I remember one of them is Sean Adams and Andrew Dolby. And my mum would go to bed and we'd have a coal fire, and that it was just me, my mum and my mates just watching films. My mum would go to bed, then me and my mates would start having a muck about, and it was the coal fire, the films on the little shitty TV that we had to move the aerial. That's a good memory.
Yeah,
no,
nice.
It don't sound like a good memory.
Well, no, your final words, I'm going to remember you telling me about your mum letting you have sleepovers watching films, because that is a beautiful memory. And Colin, I want to thank you for sharing that with me and trusting me.
Thank you, Liam.
Good health, brother.
Thank you for looking after me.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's have a cuddle.